All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Urban Gardener. I want to thank you all so much for joining me here today on this episode. If you haven't already, please hit that button right down below, the subscribe button. Follow along with more garden adventures as we continue growing here on The Urban Gardener. Today, we've got a project I've got going on right now, which I'm clearing out a lot of the peas that we're growing out here in this back carport raised beds that we've got that have the trellis on the carport here. We're clearing out those peas. They're all dried up. They're done with. The break that I took here recently just kind of did those in, so they're done. We're pulling them out, and then we're going to plant up these cucumbers that I got left over from my cucumber seeds. So we're going to plant some cucumbers in there and let them grow up through our trellis again this year like we did last year, and see if we can get a really good cucumber harvest out of that. So I'm going to get that all finished up here, and then I'm going to give you a look at what we've got growing on here around the back carport, and then I'm going to go and take you out, and we're going to go take a look at the corn that we've got growing in our side alleyway. Plus, I have a spot in the back alleyway here where we're going to plant out a new set of corn. And I know it's a little bit late in the season to be doing that, but I'm going to test out how well and long our growing season here in Southern Oregon is, and I'm going to start some more corn seed anyways. So we're going to get that all set up and planted out, and then I've got a really cool update for us all a little bit later on. So everybody hold on there. We'll get to that update just a little bit later on in the episode. All right, we've got our cucumbers all planted in. We've got this one here. I believe this is like a white spine type of a pickle cucumber. And we've got over back here, we've got a national pickling cucumber. And plant it right in the middle of them. I'm trying again this year, see how well we can get these little Mexican sour gherkins to grow. They didn't grow very well at all last year. I think it was because of where they were stuck in the middle of everything else, kind of crowding them out. So we'll give those another try this year. And I have here is some nice bunching onions that have been surviving and hanging out here in the bed. So got those growing out, and we've got some kohlrabis. Our kohlrabis are actually forming their bulbs. Got a white one there, starting to bulb up. Those two are the biggest ones. The other ones are kind of coming along all right. Not doing too much. But then again, they haven't had any sort of care or anything for a little while, so maybe with a little more care they'll catch up and get big like they should be. I've grown this before, and I had like really big bulbs on my kohlrabi before, so I know what they can do. So we'll see if we can get there. We'll start over here real quick. We've got more of what is called the pickle bush cucumber, and that's what we're growing in this bed, is all pickle bush. We've got 3 of them. And a little one here in the middle. And right back in the corner there, we've got another one. Oh. All planted out there, getting some good sun here in the afternoon. Need to water these guys in, and they should be all set to go here in our bed. Now I did only plant 3 plants, or used like basically 3 spaces. Last year I think I did like 4 or 5, and I think that was one of our problems, was we were just trying to grow too much in that space. So we're going to give them a little bit more space this year and see what they do. Now right over here, I kind of want to show you one of our updates. This one here I didn't actually plan on when I talked about the intro, but we'll talk about it right now. This guy we haven't seen for a couple of seasons. I'm gonna put an iCard right up right now for an episode we did back in our first season of citrus trees with Martin Bruchot. And I went down to Sacramento to visit him and talk about growing citrus in containers. And I was really interested in the blood orange, so he bought me a blood orange tree. And I brought it back here to Southern Oregon, and the first winter did not do too well. It died all the way back pretty much. And then the next winter, this last winter, I brought it in, and I had a little bit of trouble with some spider mites and whatnot. We were able to fend them off and everything and get this tree back outside this year. It's getting some good vegetative growth. Not seeing any flowers or anything yet, but I'll keep you updated. All right here in our side alley garden way, got a little volunteer here popping up out of the ground, looking really nice too. Sure, this is one of our Prax cherry tomatoes growing basically just on the other side of the fence line. There is a whole patch of Prax cherries that we talked about in the last video. So this one's here, just another volunteer, must have washed down the seed down from over on that side, but love volunteers, and these look really nice, really strong. So hopefully we'll be getting some tomatoes coming up here real soon. And over here, actually I want to show you real quick, in these 2 buckets here, we've got some more volunteer tomatoes as well. We've got a black brandywine in the back, and in the front that's a black cherry tomato. So we've got a couple of dark tomatoes that volunteer up for us as well. As you can see right down there as well, we've got more volunteers popping up around the bucket there. But we're sure to have a lot of really nice tomatoes growing up here out of our volunteers this year. And back over this way, we've got our corn patch that we planted out this last week. And as I said in the title, they're not quite knee high. We're not about as tall as we would like them to be, but like I said, I'm pretty sure this season we'll still be able to get some good corn growing up out of them. And as you can see, they're popping up out of the ground pretty quickly for being planted just this last week. And that's due to the way I take care of planting out my seed. What I do is I take my corn seed, I drop it into a little jar, and then I add some water to it. I let that sit overnight for about 24 hours. And then I take a little tray, napkins, and I pour them out onto that, spread them out a little bit, and I top it off with another napkin, and then I pour water over that and keep it moist. And it should only take about another day or 2, and they'll be sprouting out. We just take them out and we plant them out into our garden. So let's go to the back alleyway and plant out another patch of corn. So all right, we've got our compost all set out and our water lines all hooked up. And what we're going to do is we're going to get into that corn that we put out in our trays. But if you watch enough of my videos, you'll understand that I kind of let things go just a little too far. So our corn seeds got some long roots there and everything, but they should be doing just fine. We're just going to plant them out a little bit deeper than we would normally in order to get those roots in there nice and easily and carefully without destroying any of them or breaking them at all. Okay, so that's all we're going to do, is be really careful about that. We're going to plant them out in 3. So we're going to do one on this side, one in the middle, and one on the other side. And we're going to do them about a foot apart all the way down the stretch of our row here. And that's in order to have our corn grow in a good bunch all together so that they can help pollinate each other when our corn ears start to form. All right, so I've got a corn seed here. It's got a really long root in it. So like I said, I'm gonna get down in there really good. And just kind of let that get in there and kind of curl it into the ground really gently, leaving what's going to be the corn stalk facing upwards there. And then I'm just going to kind of gently cover it over. And in just a couple of days, that corn plant will be rising up out of there along with all the other ones along our row. Got all of our corn all planted out along our row. So in just a few days, we should be seeing some nice corn plants popping up out of the ground. And later on today, probably I'll plant out some squash seeds too, in between where I planted out the corn seed. And we'll get us some nice winter squash growing. Right over here, as I mentioned in the last video, we got our eggplants all planted out recently too. So they're all nice and cozy in here back here, growing really well. So I'm looking forward to some good production out of these plants, hopefully. As I say, everything's a little bit late this season, but should be pretty well. And as you saw there just a bit ago too, we put out a new layer of compost. Each year I put a new layer of compost I get here locally and layer this all out up and down the way. And over the last couple of years, it's just, I mean, look at this. I mean, I can put my hand down in there I could probably go down to my elbows. I mean, this ground is just amazing. Nice, dark soil. So that's the benefit of putting out a nice layer of compost each and every year onto your garden beds. Just makes for some really, really great dynamic soil. So these plants should be doing really well. Alright, so I said I had an update for you all. I actually got a couple of them. Kind of a look at our blueberries here. All doing pretty well. And a couple of weeks ago, before I had to take off, there were plenty of blueberries growing all over the plants. So either somebody came by and they picked most of them, or birds got to them. But we got some more here. And I'm really looking forward to next season though, because next season we should be really getting some good production off of all of these plants. And right over here, another plant that kind of had a hard time while I was gone because, of course, it's in this container, so it really has to be taken care of and looked after. It's going to be all right. You can see a lot of sun damage and all of that from getting dried out and everything. Lots of fruit lost in the back there and everything. But it's trying to put out some more fruit as well, so maybe we'll still see something out of that. A little bit of rosemary growing there. We need to trim back a little bit. And over here, we got our cabbages. I got just really eaten up really a lot by the cabbage worms. You can just see tons and tons of leaf damage on all of these plants. Surprised they've survived at all. But they're closing up and forming some cabbage heads though. Some of them kind of, you know, they're small, but pretty solid. Another one there. Oh boy, we got some bees on the hunt, hopefully looking for some of those little worms or whatnot there. This one here is not looking too bad. Still, I'd be looking for a lot bigger cabbages than that. So next year we try growing these again or anything like that, we're definitely gonna have to get some netting, protect these things early on so that they can have a fighting chance for the rest of the season. But again, we'll see what we get out of those. And my neighbor's back alley garden, he's got himself a container here with a bunch of different little starts popping up everywhere. Some sort of cucumber or maybe a melon or something like that. Gonna need to be thinned out though here real soon. Lots of little starts there. And right over here, definitely got a cantaloupe, I would say, right there. I'm not sure if he's planting something out next to it or not, or if he's gonna let that spread. But you can see here, some little starts got munched up by some slugs or something probably there. So those plants pretty much got done in. And that's a big risk of growing here in the alleyway though too. Lots of slugs and snails and everything. Yeah, see? They're enjoying and feasting right now. That, and we've got those little pincher bugs too, the little earwig things as well. They like to eat on your young little plants and the new leaves that are popping out of them. And here he's got a tomato all caged up right there. And some more little starts, so hopefully he's gonna get something just by sheer numbers there. Looks like that plant there's looking really nice too. So this year he told me though he's not going to be growing his corn that he usually grows here. He usually grows this white Mexican corn that grows as tall as that roof line there, even taller. But he's passing on it this year. Oh, and he's got this, what is, looks like it's from a washer, clothes washer. And he's filled up and using as a container. Got some cucumbers and a bunch of other little starts there too. We'll have to see how those little plants do later on. And right over here, first I got a little moringa here that I'm trying to grow. Not doing too well. Just doesn't seem to be liking the space or not, the container or anything, but we'll see. Right next to it though, our big update. We've got our container potatoes. I was really worried about these potatoes this last few weeks while I was gone because I wasn't here to do anything to take care of them. But as you can see, they've fared pretty well. Put out a lot of new green growth, especially down inside of the plant too. So I got back to starting to water them again. Got a lot of new growth, really bright green. So the plants are doing really well. Just keeping them hydrated. Hopefully, in a little while here, a few weeks, we'll be able to dig into these containers and see what kind of potato harvest we get this year. So all right, everybody, the container potatoes are looking pretty good. They've, kind of held on while we were gone there for those few weeks and everything. So looking really good. They're growing, like I said, lots of good green growth still. So about another month or so off from being able to dig into those containers and see what we finally get for a harvest out of them. So I'm really hopeful that we have a really nice potato harvest this year. And how about that corn? We've got it growing, all planted out in the back alleyway, and it soon should be catching up with the corn that we have already popping up out of the ground in our side alleyway. So I'm really looking forward as well to some good corn harvests coming up. We've got lots of other things, great things growing here, planting out those cucumbers and all of that. Lots of great things to look forward to. So please stay tuned here on the Urban Gardener. And if you haven't already, like I said, hit that subscribe button so you can follow along with all these great garden adventures we've got coming up. And if you haven't already, please also hit that thumbs up button. Give this video a like. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything at all, hit me up in the comment section down below. And I'll see you all on the very next episode. The containers there, I'll catch up in a moment, but when we get continued on here, we're going to go, the cool update that we've got coming up here real quick. And then, so what I'm doing, I need you to look right down below, and if you haven't already before, so all right, got to compete with the neighbor dogs. They want to be on the video too. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-stars. So yeah, I'm really looking for, please hit that like button down below and give our video a big, let me try one more though. We'll try one more. So all right, everybody, that potato buckets are not. All right, that'll work. One of those.